Okay, cool. And now that we run this thing locally, let's deploy to production. Because we use D1, it's a little bit different from the other templates, but what we have to do is we have to change the setup from our local D1 to our D1 in production. So for this, actually, if you want to move to production, first of all, you need a Cloudflare account to deploy your worker, but also you need the Cloudflare account to create an instance for your D1 database. And let's go through the README because it works out quite nicely through the deployment setup. So here we can see what we need to do first is we need to create an instance in our Cloudflare platform. And what I can do is I can use the CLI here to create one and give it a name. So I call it HONC D1 database. Perfect. And if you have not authorized your CLI yet, it would prompt you to do that to URL, which then redirects you again to the terminal. I've done it already, so it's not part here. But then I get also the information of my created DB instance. So now I can basically take that information and exchange that in the Wrangler terminal with the information that I have used for the local development and exchange it here and save it. The next thing I need to set is production environment variables, and I also need the database ID here, so I can copy it from here, and there is an example where you already see which variables or which keys you need. And so here we copy paste in the database, and then the next thing is a Cloudflare token, and for that basically we can go to the Cloudflare to the UI of Cloudflare, and if you go to your account here, you can see the API tokens that you have created already, but you also can create new ones. I'm going to create a new token here. I'm not choosing one of the templates, but I go for a custom one. It will be the HONC out token. And here I need to give it permission actually to edit D1. So that is important. And I don't need anything else. So I can create that token. And nicely enough, I can also test if that token is active by basically using this command in my terminal. I'm just trusting it for now and copy it. And we'll use now the token here. And next thing we need is our Cloudflare account ID, and this is maybe a little bit more tricky. You can find it in the UI, but you can also use Wrangler. So I'm going to use Wrangler here actually to ask who am I, and that will give me the information and gives me here my account ID that I can then also use. Next thing, what I have to do is obviously rename that because it's not an example anymore. It's becoming my actual prod var file. And now with this setup, I can use the migration for production that is defined in my package JSON. So I have here the db prod migrate. Let's do that. So let's run migrate prod to also generate the tables in production. That looked successfully, and now what we can do is actually we can deploy the application with the command pm run deploy, and that should actually create a deployment for our worker. Cool. You see there is a DB1 access that the worker is having, and I also get a URL. And there's one thing that you might want to consider. We haven't used it in this tutorial, but if you have set up any keys secrets for your application and have to find them in the dev.vars file, you need to make sure that your worker in production also has access to it. And one way to hand over variables, but you should not do that with secrets, is actually to define those variables in the Wrangler terminal. But because it's a secret and you want to secure it, you should use Wrangler from the CLI to put any secrets in there. So if we have, let's assume we have a secret, we can use basically Wrangler secret put and then define the key. So let's say we have maybe a key in our application that is for OpenAI. A lot of applications use it nowadays, so let's assume. And then it will ask you what is a value, and that's basically where you can copy and paste your secret. I don't have one, but I make one up now. But now it's creating the secret for you. So also that means basically that your worker now has access to that secret if it's needed in your code base. And now let's visit our worker. So now we can also visit the URL from our deployed worker. So we have HONC from above. And also if we go for our users endpoint, we see nothing basically because we have nothing in there. So the database is not seeded here, but it's ready to use in production. And I hope it shows you how quickly you can go from local development to production and start building your business logic. So I hope that was helpful and see you soon.